to do.
Hey, team.
Are we on?
We're on.
Ah.
I just didn't do the theme music today. Ooh, I'm struggling with my microphone. Hey, live team. Ooh, here we go.
Hello there.
So here we are, and we have a new couch.
Hey.
Yay! It's quite more comfortable doing our lives here tonight. So we have a story to tell. It's called The Creator and the Couch. And the reason we're telling this story, There's a reason we're telling this story tonight, because it's about the creative process and how this couch came to be. We thought we'd use it as an illustration of some of the processes that we teach in our Unstuck and Unstoppable retreat. So, did you want to kick off the story to start with?
Yeah, well, I suppose originally Linda and I, the idea of the couch came about. We're sitting in a different area of the house, and Linda felt that she would at some stage love to make this a little bit more of it was a nothing type area, sort of a dining area, really.
And the dog used to sleep here.
Yeah.
Not on the couch.
Not on the couch.
This spot, just here.
Not on the couch. and anyway, so Linda decided she'd like to make it a bit more comfortable, somewhere maybe you could read a book or, just chill. And so that was about it. We had a bit of a chat and both sort of thought that sounded pretty good. But the space it's as big as it is, so it couldn't handle a massive three-seater or even probably a real big two-seater. But we just decided that, that'd be cool. So we didn't think too much more of it originally, did we?
Well, not really, although in my what we call choices, when you're doing the program, we talk about choices rather than, in the past we've talked about things like vision boards and how they can actually become a problem when you're trying to create something in your life. But we use this process called choices. And in my choices, I have home spaces where my soul feels alive and free. So that was my thing. And when I step into that choice, I have these vision, just create with my imagination what sort of things I'd like to see in those sorts of choices. And that's one part of the process. And that vision can get quite grand. It really doesn't matter. It's just a matter of allowing your imagination to go run wild. And, then we also use a process in there called the current reality. And the current reality, well, you've got to incorporate your current situation, your house that you're living in, all that sort of thing. And there are a few things in my dream house, in my dream situation, which I really love. One of them is to have a studio space for artwork or for music or singing, and also a little spot where I can sit and read, nooks and crannies where you can just sort of disappear and just have some quiet time. And then really big family areas where people can come together and just, have the social community element as well. And so in that, bringing that back to current reality, it was sort of like, we sort of got the lounge room, but the lounge room can get pretty full on sometimes, can't it? Especially when everyone's here and that sort of thing. So I thought it would be nice to have a little space where when it's really busy with lots of people in the family, I could sit down and have a bit of a read and or maybe do some art and all that sort of stuff. Now, interestingly, the art came first. So right next to me here is my easel and all my paints and bits and pieces there. So that's really cool because that sort of started to come to fruition because as I put that into my choices, and interestingly, I didn't really know I was interested in art up until recently when I actually went through the process myself.
And that was as a result of connecting with your heart and actually finding out.
Yeah.
What was it you love?
Yeah, what was it I love? Because a lot of the time we're walking around intellectualizing, what is it I want to do? What do I want to do when I grow up? I mean, I'm nearly 50, I should know what I want to do when I grow up. That's what we all think though. We think that that's unique to us, but it's actually not. So the art came first, and then, I'd be there doing my art, and I often would think, it'd be really nice if there's a little couch just here in this nook. It's actually a little cut in here. There's a beautiful window here during the day. The sun beams out onto the garden and it's just gorgeous. And anyway, so I just sort of left it at that and thought, yeah, that's cool. Every now and again it just popped into my mind. But no attachment whatsoever. It's just sort of like, yeah, that'd be nice sort of thing. And so then this happened.
Well, and I'll try and remember the events as well as I can, because there's a lot of synchronicity and stuff goes on when you're making, formalising your choices and that sort of thing. There's a lot of magic takes place, and it's really cool, but it can be really intricate as well. And what originally happened was we were down doing some shopping. I saw this couch and I thought, oh, there it is, like the couch. And it was sort of, it was reasonably expensive for what we were thinking of.
And not quite right either.
Not quite right, a little more of an outdoor than an indoor thing, and it probably a bit too big really for what we needed here. And
think daybed, timber. It'd be nice, but probably a little bit big for our little space here.
Yeah, and so I sort of thought, still, I was all in. I just thought this has happened, this is right. So what happened? I
let it go.
Let it go.
In fact, actually, we went back to get the last one.
Yeah.
And a couple grabbed it just before we got to the back of the store, and we went, you know what? It just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be. There's no way it would have fitted in the car. There's all this sort of stuff going on, and just okay. Let's let that go. And again, we actually saw it again a few weeks later, and we went, no. It's not the right one, didn't we? Just let it go completely. It's like, we could have grabbed it just to fill the space, but no, it felt too pushy. It was like we're pushing to try and get this goal, which once you start to do the work, you realise you're not on the right track. If you're pushing too hard, it's usually shit.
Well, and it's usually there's that, and it's usually that you've moved into your head and the house, or you've decided I'd love this. And then you set about doing what we all typically do habitually, and we go, now I'll need to do this, then that, then that, then that, and then I'll get that. It's very head orientated, and it's nothing to do with coming to the heart and allowing the heart to unfold things rather than us push and shove things into place. And so some weeks later.
Yeah, several weeks later.
Just the other day. So I was in the same shop again, and I had what I needed, what I thought I'd gone back for. Actually, I forgot a couple of items. I'm a bit of a shocker that way. And I had to go down just to get 2 little items. And I'm walking out. I thought, I got what I want. Now I just passed this aisle, and I thought, I feel like walking down that aisle today. I don't, it's just. That's the aisle or something. There was a drawer there, and it was quite obvious. I couldn't have missed it, but I could have chosen not to.
Just go your normal monkey mind way, the way we always go. You always drive to work the same way, always do things the same way. That's monkey mind. Yeah. It's
the way I know, it's the way I'm comfortable with. It's got to be the most efficient way, all that sort of thing. But anyway, I thought I'll just roll with it. And the moment I took 2 steps, I looked up, and there was this couch sitting there, like in a box. And it was super obvious. It was as if there was nothing else around it. Mind you, there were tons of other things around it, but that's all my RAS was picking up was, whoa.
RAS, by the way, is a reticular activating system. It's that part of your brain that finds really obvious things. Like if you buy a red Mazda, for example, all of a sudden you're driving around, all you can see is red Mazdas all over the place. That's what your RAS is. Yep. Sorry. Anyway, so his RAS picked up this box.
Yeah, and it slapped me in the face. I thought, there's it. Wow, that looks like a good couch. And I walked over, and I thought, next thing was I just wanted to know how much it was. So I looked at it, and it was on sale, and it was a very low price. And I said, I just turned on my heel and walked straight over to the guy and said, hey mate, how does a bloke get the old couch out into the car from there and take it through the checkout and stuff? So he went and grabbed a trolley. He said, pop it on there, take it through the checkout. She'll just scan the top. You don't need to lift it again till you get to your car. Put it in your car, bring the trolley back, and that's all done. And so I grabbed it, took it out through to the checkout, and the girl there said, wow, that's a great price for that. She said that was sitting out the back there for a little bit, and they wanted to move it on, and they've just put it on the shelf. You got a real bargain there, and so I took it out of the car. And I initially put it on its end, put it in, and it just didn't go. But I had this sense, this thing's going to fit in here. It didn't look like it. It looked like our little car was not going to fit this thing. And I felt, though, that it would go. And so I laid it on its other side and slid it in, pushed the front seat forward a little bit more, and it just went boom and fell in. Like there was no extra room at all. It had to...
Mind you, he drove home probably like this.
Yeah, I'm flexible like that, which is very helpful.
Like he's a yogi.
But it even fit perfectly in the car, and everything was really easy. It was just a flow, like from seeing it. Normally, you know, with that other couch, other people are vying for the same thing, and there's competition involved, and there's a sense of struggle and a sense of, oh, I'm going to miss out, and all this sort of thing, boom, straight back into the head. But this was just easy. It was like, mate, I want to grab that. How do I do it? He's helpful. Everyone's helpful. Lots of love in the air.
Even the car's helpful.
Car's helpful. It's in the car. Yeah. Close the door, because I was prepared to drive home with the door wide open. I didn't care. But no, door closed, and then I get home. It's very easy putting it together, and then it slots into the place, and that was about it. But
oh, hang on! I came home from teaching, and I'm like, whoa, there's my couch. How cool is that?
That's true, yeah.
And he got extra brownie points because he solved the problem. You know, he just went and got my couch. How cool is that?
And then I told you the price of it.
I know, I nearly fell off my couch.
Yeah, Linda didn't believe me at first.
No, I said, I saw that in the catalogue a couple of weeks ago, and it was a couple $100 more than that. Yeah, so...
So just, and you know, that's the words that we hear a lot are effortless, grace and ease. But I really prefer grace and ease and flow, because I don't mind effort. If effort, and often things do require effort, but it's when it's effort that's coming from inspired action, it comes with a packet of energy for you, and it never feels like effort. It feels like you're just in the flow and things are unfolding, and you could be flat strapped, but you're on purpose, and you're kind of excited more than you are worn out or anything like that. So it's an effortful grace and ease, if you like, more so as a distinction on that one. Yeah,
but it doesn't feel like effort, because it's sort of like fun. It's sort of like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah. And if it's something that you're a bit uncertain about, I think I always teach this in class too, is that curiosity is the way to get through. Because if you're just curious, it takes a lot of the fear out of it as well. Because some of the things that you're sort of going to be drawn into in order to get from point A to point C, some of the steps are going to be a little bit scary. It's not always going to be, oh yeah, the happy, happy, joy, joy, let's skip our way through life. There will be some scary points, because we have to grow, you know, in order to become the better versions of ourselves. That growth is really, really important. So those scary bits, so we don't talk ourselves out of it. Curiosity is my antidote to that, because it's something that really doesn't seem to have an opposite to it. So. And
it's gentle too. Curiosity is just like, you don't have to get all riled up or do anything particularly, but become curious. And when you do, you put yourself into a position of vibration that is much more of a match to that you're looking to create. So.
Absolutely. There's no expectation with curiosity. There's actually an openness to all sorts of possibilities coming about, which is really cool too. So yeah, if you ever get stuck and you're a little bit scared, just go, oh, I'm really curious about what's going to happen next. Yeah. Yeah. So so effort, effort in grace and ease, and watching the flow. And we'd really love to know in the comments, when you get a chance to watch this back, is what have you found recently that has been effortless? Has been grace and flow. Sorry, it's going to take me a while to get that out of there. But it has been a grace and flow for you. Things just sort of unfolding for you, taking you along the journey, or where have you really been struggling and pushing to get an outcome, and then realising that maybe you've got too much expectation, or there's a fear around something, or you're going to miss out on something, or I used to set the goal. You set goals, and they'd be like, the old SMART goals, and you have a goal and you want to strive for it, and you, as you said, you put down the map of the how. This step 1, step 2, step 3, go through it that way. But it becomes very push, and a lot of those push goals either become too hard and we give up, or we make it and then we go, is that all there is?
Yeah, it's not to say that we can't achieve things through pushing and striving and certainly shoving and hustling. I've done it many times. Yeah, and the thing is, I guess we feel like that's the only way we can have things that we would like in our life, or we'd love in our life, and often we won't even go for stuff because we think, well, that's too big. It's impossible for me to have that, because I know what's required to do it, and I couldn't. I could barely do what I achieved with XYZ before, so I've got evidence to prove that there's no way in hell I can have that thing because it's too big. So that's the difference. You know, there's two things I want to mention about that. Is that again, you're in your head, you're working from that orientation of the head and the thinking and all that sort of thing, the logic brain, and there's no power there for you. So when you do that, and you drive hard enough and achieve the outcome that you're looking for, often that outcome is unsustainable, and there's various reasons for that. Say it might be that you achieved a huge amount of money or whatever, but the unsustainability is whether or not that money is going to stick around, and also what did you lose? What did it cost you on the way to achieving that outcome? It may have cost you your health. It may have cost you your family, loved
maybe
ones,
some values
friends.
You've had to compromise to get there.
Yeah, for that one outcome. Whereas when you're working from the heart orientation as a powerful creator, which we all are, it's not until you know that though, and you work from that orientation, that it doesn't have to cost you everything. You can still have what you love, and have balance and love in your life, sort of thing. That there's no compromise.
Yeah, you don't have to. Everything stays in balance naturally because really that's what we are naturally designed to do. But just end up not.
We
taught a
don't.
whole different way
That's
of
right.
being.
We
Our
don't know.
culture teaches us that we have to strive in order to achieve, and we have to strive to be recognised, and we have to strive to be loved, and that's unfortunately the way the culture has gone. Yeah.
And we'll probably talk more on this at some other stage, and we may have actually touched on it in previous webinars, but with regard to coming back to the heart is more of a remembering of who you already are, so remembering versus learning anything particularly new. And when we're working from the orientation of the head, we're more fragmented, so we're more bits and pieces of ourselves, and we strive and drive, and we think that's powerful, but it's the heart orientation leaves it for dead, for power and for creativity and the ability to create what you love in your life. There's nothing like that orientation. So.
And over time you get to feel it, you get to know it, sort of becomes like your best buddy, so it's not a problem, but it takes practice. It's like anything in life. If you haven't done it for a while and you can't remember, you have to keep flexing that muscle until it comes back to work for you again. So, so that was the story of the couch and the creator. Oh, we both were the creator in that. I have to take credit for some of that.
It was a co-creation.
It was a co-creation.
Linda and mine and our hearts, and universal input obviously there as well, with the synchronicity and all the stuff that unfolds when you do that, when you work in that way.
Absolutely. And look, the learning journey for all of us comes through sharing, so don't forget to put in the comments where you've had that recent flow or your big struggle that you've got going on, and who knows, we might be able to help you as well. So this is a community, this is your community, you get to be part of it, you get to enjoy, and we look forward to seeing you next week, because the dog's going to crank up right now. She's got something to be cranky about. Our furry doorbell. Catch you next Thursday.
Thanks for
Have
jumping on the call.
See ya.
Bye.